The doors to the medical center opened with a soft sound. Dr. Nathan Price looked up from his computer screen. He had been reading reports about the morning patients. What he saw next made him freeze in surprise. A tall alien woman stood in the doorway. Her skin was covered in beautiful scales that shimmered like rainbow oil on water, but today those scales looked dull and tired. She belonged to the Drakari species, the dragon people that most humans only saw in pictures or videos. In her arms, she held something small wrapped in a soft blanket. Nathan stood up quickly. His nurse, Claire Morgan, came running from the back room. She had heard the doors open too. The Drakari woman walked forward slowly, like every step hurt her body. Her eyes were filled with tears that she was trying hard not to let fall. "Please help," the woman said in broken English. Her voice shook with fear and sadness. "My sister died 3 weeks ago. This is her baby, the last one from her eggs. The baby will not eat anything. Will not drink water. I have tried everything I know, everything." She pulled back the blanket. Nathan felt his heart break at what he saw. A tiny dragon baby lay in her arms, so small it could fit in both of his hands. The little creature was thin, so very thin. Its ribs showed through its delicate scales. Its wings were folded against its body like crumpled paper. The baby's eyes were half closed, and each breath it took seemed like hard work. Nathan had been a doctor for 15 years. He had worked on space stations and colony planets. He had treated humans and several types of aliens. But he had never treated a Drakari before. Dragon people were very private about their families. They did not share information about their babies with outsiders. The medical books had only basic information, nothing that could really help him now. "Bring the baby here," Nathan said, pointing to the examination table. He tried to sound calm and confident, even though inside he felt worried. Claire was already searching the computer for any information they had about dragon biology. The Drakari woman placed the baby on the soft table very carefully, like it might break into pieces. Up close, Nathan could see more details. The baby's scales should have been bright and shiny. Instead, they looked dry and faded. Its tiny claws were curled up tight. The small chest moved up and down too fast, like the baby was struggling to breathe. "What is your name?" Nathan asked gently as he began to examine the baby. He picked up his medical scanner, a device that could read body temperature, heart rate, and other important signs. "I am Lissa," the woman answered. "I work on a trading ship called Crimson Wing. My sister was the ship's guard. When she got sick, she made me promise to care for her baby, but I do not know how. I am not a mother. I am just a ship worker." Nathan moved the scanner slowly over the baby's body. The device beeped and showed numbers on its screen. The numbers were not good. The baby was starving. Its body was too cold. Its heart was beating too slow. There was something else wrong too. Something the scanner could not identify. Something deeper than just hunger and thirst. "How long has it been since your sister died?" Nathan asked. He needed to understand the timeline, to know how long the baby had been sick. 21 days, Lisa said. Her clawed hands gripped the edge of the table. "The baby ate a little bit for the first week. Then it stopped. It has been 14 days now with no food. Only a few drops of water, and even that it spits out most times. Claire brought over supplies. Tubes, bottles of liquid food, warm blankets, everything they might need." She looked at Nathan with worried eyes. They both knew this was bad. Very bad. Most creatures could not survive 2 weeks without proper food. Nathan looked at the tiny dragon baby. In Drakari culture, he knew, a baby without its mother almost never survived. The information he had read said that dragon babies needed more than just food and water. They needed something else, something emotional or spiritual that the files did not explain well. But Nathan could not just give up. He would not give up. "I need to be honest with you, Lisa," Nathan said, meeting her eyes. "I have never treated a Drakari baby before. I do not know if I can save her. But I promise you this, I will try everything. I will not stop trying until there is no hope left." Lisa's eyes filled with fresh tears. One tear rolled down her scaly cheek and fell onto the table. "That is all I ask," she whispered. "My sister's name was Kessa. She was brave and strong. This baby is all that is left of her. Please, please try." Nathan nodded. He turned to Claire. "Get me the special nutrient liquid, the one we use for very sick patients. Warm it up to body temperature. We need to get calories into this baby somehow. Also bring the heating lamp. The baby's temperature is too low. Claire hurried away to gather everything. Nathan gently picked up the tiny dragon, supporting its head carefully. The baby weighed almost nothing. It felt like holding a bird with hollow bones. The baby's eyes opened just a tiny bit, looking at Nathan without really seeing him. "Does the baby have a name?" Nathan asked. "Kessa called her Ember," Lisa said softly, "because of the color of her scales. When they are healthy, they glow like hot coals in a fire." "Ember," Nathan repeated. He looked down at the dying baby in his hands. "Okay, little Ember, let us see what we can do to help you." He carried Ember to a private room in the back of the medical center. This room was usually for patients who needed to stay overnight. Nathan would turn it into a special place for Ember. He would monitor her constantly. He would try every treatment he could think of. What Nathan did not know was that this moment would change everything. Not just for Ember, not just for him, but for the whole relationship between humans and dragon people across all the stars in space. Sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest lives, and sometimes all it takes is one person who refuses to give up. 2 days had passed since Lisa brought Ember to the medical center. Nathan had barely slept. He stayed by the baby dragon's side, checking her every hour, trying different treatments. Nothing seemed to work. He had set up the private room like a nest. Soft blankets covered a special heated pad. Warm lights hung from the ceiling, keeping the temperature just right. Monitors beeped quietly, showing Ember's heartbeat and breathing on glowing screens. But despite all of this, Ember was getting worse, not better. Nathan tried feeding tubes, putting them carefully down Ember's throat to send liquid food directly to her stomach. The baby's body rejected it. He tried injections, putting nutrients straight into her blood. Her body accepted these, but she did not get stronger. He tried everything he had learned in medical school, everything he had learned from 15 years of practice. Nothing made a real difference. Claire brought him coffee in the early morning of the 3rd day. Nathan sat in a chair next to Ember's bed, his eyes red from lack of sleep. The baby dragon lay very still under a soft blue blanket. Only the slight movement of her chest showed she was still alive. "You need to rest," Claire said gently. "You cannot help her if you collapse from exhaustion." Nathan shook his head. "I am missing something. There has to be something I am not seeing." He rubbed his face with both hands. "All the physical treatments should be working. She is getting nutrition. She is warm. She is hydrated, but she keeps fading away." Claire sat down in the chair next to him. She was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then she said something that made Nathan pause. "What if it is not about the body? What if it is about the mind? Or the heart?" Nathan looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I was reading the old files last night," Claire explained. "The ones about Drakari culture. It said that dragon babies are empathic. They feel emotions very strongly. They can sense the feelings of people around them. What if Ember knows her mother is dead? What if she has given up because she thinks nobody wants her?" Nathan sat back in his chair. He had been so focused on fixing Ember's body that he had forgotten about her mind and emotions. "You might be right," he said slowly. "That would explain why nothing is working. Her body could eat and drink, but if her mind has decided to give up, then her body will follow." He stood up quickly. "Where is Lisa? I need to talk to her." They found Lisa in the small waiting room. She had not left the medical center since bringing Ember. She sat on a bench, her head in her hands, looking like she had not slept either. When Nathan came in, she looked up with hope in her tired eyes. "Is Ember better?" she asked. "No," Nathan said honestly, "but I think I know why. I need you to tell me about dragon babies. Not the medical facts. The emotional things. How does a mother bond with her child?" Lisa looked surprised. Then understanding showed in her face. "You think the grief is killing her? I think it might be part of the problem. Help me understand what she needs." Lisa took a deep breath. Then she began to explain things that most outsiders never learned. Dragon mothers did not just feed their babies. They held them constantly. They kept them warm with their own body heat. They hummed to them, a deep sound that was too low for human ears to hear properly. The sound came from deep in their chest and vibrated through their scales. The babies felt this vibration and knew they were safe and loved. Dragon mothers also groomed their babies. They carefully cleaned each scale with their tongue. They stretched out the delicate wing membranes to help them grow properly. They never put the baby down for the first few months of life. The baby and mother were always touching, always together. Ember has felt nothing but cold metal tables and strange hands since Kessa died, Lissa said sadly. She has been poked with needles and tubes. In her heart, she thinks she has been abandoned. Why would she want to live if she believes nobody loves her? Nathan felt something click in his mind. Of course, Ember was not just sick in her body. She was sick in her heart. She was a baby who had lost her mother and did not understand why. Come with me, Nathan said. Both of you are going to stay in Ember's room from now on. He led Lisa back to the private room. Claire helped him set up a comfortable area where Lissa could sit or lie down. They moved a large cushioned chair next to Ember's bed. They adjusted the monitors so they would not be in the way. Hold her, Nathan told Lissa. Hold her like you would hold your own baby. Do not let go. Lissa carefully lifted Ember from the bed. The baby dragon was so light, so fragile. Lissa settled into the chair and arranged Ember against her chest. The baby's head rested right over Lissa's heart. Then Lissa began to hum. The sound was strange and beautiful. Nathan could barely hear it with his ears, but he could feel it. The air seemed to vibrate. The feeling went into his chest, into his bones. It was like standing next to a giant engine, but gentler, warmer. It felt like safety and love turned into sound. For the first time in days, Ember's eyes opened a little wider. Her head moved slightly, pressing closer to Lissa's chest. It was not much, just a small movement. But it was the first real response they had seen. Nathan felt hope bloom in his chest. Keep doing exactly that, he said quietly. I will handle the medical side. You handle the love side. Over the next 2 days, there was slow improvement. Ember's heartbeat became a little stronger. Her breathing became a little easier. But she still would not eat. Her body was still shutting down, just more slowly now. Nathan knew they were running out of time. On the 5th day, he sat alone in his office late at night. Everyone else had gone to rest. He was searching through old research files, desperate for answers. Most information about dragon babies was kept secret by the Drakari people. They did not share their family knowledge with outsiders. But Nathan found one old study, written 30 years ago by a human scientist who had been allowed to observe dragon families. The scientist described something called the falling dark. It happened when a dragon baby experienced trauma or loss. The baby's body would start to shut down. It was a survival mechanism that almost never worked. Once a baby entered the falling dark, only one thing could save it. Something called the rekindling. Nathan read further, his heart beating faster. The rekindling required the bioelectrical field of the baby's birth mother. Every living thing produced a weak electrical field. For dragon babies, their mother's specific field was like a beacon. It told them they were home and safe. Without it, the baby stayed in the falling dark until death. The study said that other dragon females could sometimes perform the rekindling, but it rarely worked. The baby needed its specific mother's field, the one it had known since before hatching from its egg. Nathan felt despair. Amber's mother was dead. There was no way to get that specific field back. He almost closed the file, but then he saw one more paragraph. A footnote at the end. The scientist wrote that the rekindling did not require a dragon specifically. It required a bioelectrical field that the baby's empathic sense could accept as parental. The field needed to feel like safety, like home, like love. In theory, any species with a compatible field could work. But it had never been tested. Nathan sat very still. Humans had bioelectrical fields too. Every living thing did. Could a human's field possibly work? It seemed impossible. Humans and dragons were so different. But then again, everything about this situation was impossible. An impossible baby. Impossible circumstances requiring an impossible solution. He made his decision. He would try. Nathan walked back to Ember's room. His hands shook slightly. What he was about to try went against every rule, every protocol he had learned in medical school. Doctors were supposed to maintain professional distance. They were not supposed to take dangerous risks. He could lose his medical license for what he was planning. But if he did nothing, Ember would die before morning. The monitors showed her vital signs dropping steadily. The room was dim and quiet. Lisa had fallen asleep in the chair, exhausted from days of worry. Amber lay against her chest, barely breathing. Nathan could see the baby's ribs moving with each shallow breath. Her scales had lost all their shine. She looked like a ghost of a dragon, fading away into nothing. Nathan gently touched Lisa's shoulder. The dragon woman woke up instantly, her eyes wide with alarm. Is she gone? Lisa asked, fear making her voice high. Not yet, Nathan said softly. But soon, if we do not do something different. I need to try something. It might not work. It might be crazy. But it is the only chance we have left. Lisa looked at him with desperate hope. Anything. Try anything. Nathan carefully took Ember from Lisa's arms. The baby dragon was warm from being held, but her body was limp and unresponsive. He sat down in the chair and opened his medical coat. He pulled his shirt aside and placed Ember directly against his bare chest, skin touching scales. What are you doing? Lisa asked, confused. Something called the rekindling, Nathan explained. I read about it in an old research file. When a dragon baby is dying like this, sometimes they can be brought back by their mother's bioelectrical field. But Kessa is gone, so I'm going to see if my field can work instead. Lisa's eyes went very wide. The rekindling is sacred knowledge. How do you know about it? And it only works with dragon mothers. It cannot work with a human. The research said it might work with any being whose field the baby accepts as parental, Nathan said. He placed his hand over Ember's tiny heart. I know it sounds impossible, but we are out of other options. He closed his eyes. He tried to focus all his thoughts and feelings on Ember. He thought about every patient he had ever saved. He thought about every time he had refused to give up, even when things looked hopeless. He thought about his own mother, who had been a nurse, who had taught him that caring for others was the most important work in the world. He willed all of that into Ember. He tried to project feelings of safety, warmth, protection, and love. He wanted her to feel that she was not alone, that someone cared whether she lived or died, that someone was fighting for her with everything they had. At first, nothing happened. Nathan kept his eyes closed and kept focusing. His hand stayed gentle on Ember's chest. He could feel her heart beating weakly under his palm. 1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats. Each one felt like it might be the last. Then something changed. Nathan felt a tingle in his chest, like a small electric shock, but not painful. It spread through his body, warm and strange. Ember's body temperature began to rise. He could feel her getting warmer against his skin. Her breathing changed. Instead of quick, shallow gasps, she took a deeper breath. Then another. Her heart beat stronger under his hand. The monitors in the room started beeping faster, showing vital signs that were improving instead of failing. Nathan opened his eyes. Ember's eyes were open too, fully open for the first time in days. Her golden eyes focused on his face. She looked at him with what seemed like recognition. Her small mouth opened and a tiny puff of smoke came out. Then she made a sound, a small chirp like a bird. Lisa stood up from her chair, her mouth hanging open in shock. That is impossible, she whispered. The rekindling only works with family. Only with dragon mothers or sometimes dragon sisters. Never with another species. Never with a human. Nathan looked down at Ember. The baby dragon was nuzzling against his chest, rubbing her small head against his skin. She chirped again, a slightly stronger sound this time. Then she closed her eyes and fell asleep. But this was different from before. Before, she had looked like death. Now she looked like a baby who was simply tired and resting. Maybe the definition of family is bigger than we thought, Nathan said quietly. He felt exhausted suddenly, like he had run a marathon. The rekindling had taken energy from him in ways he did not fully understand. Claire came running into the room, having heard the monitor alarms. She stopped short when she saw Nathan sitting there with Ember pressed against his chest. What happened? The monitors showed a sudden change. We saved her, Nathan said simply. I think we actually saved her. Over the next few hours, Ember continued to improve. She woke up more alert. She accepted a few drops of liquid food from Nathan's hand. She chirped and made small sounds. Her scales began to show hints of the copper color they should be. But there was a complication that Nathan had not expected. Ember would not accept food or comfort from anyone except him. When Claire tried to feed her, Ember turned her head away. When Lisa tried to hold her, Ember cried and reached for Nathan. She only wanted him. She is bonded to you, Lisa explained, watching Ember curl up in Nathan's lap. The rekindling does more than just save a dying baby. It creates a connection. In her mind, in her empathic senses, you are her parent now. You are her family. Nathan ran his hand gently over Ember's back, feeling her small spine under his palm. What does that mean exactly? Will this connection fade? Eventually, yes, when she is older and independent. But for now, for months or maybe even years, she will need you. Being separated from you would be like losing her mother all over again. She might survive it, but the emotional damage would be severe. Nathan looked at the small dragon in his lap. Ember was looking up at him with complete trust in her golden eyes. She chirped softly and blew a small puff of warm smoke that made him cough. I am a doctor on a space station, Nathan said. How am I supposed to raise a dragon baby? I work long hours. I have responsibilities. I do not know anything about being a parent, especially not to a different species. You will learn, Lisa said gently. We will help you. I will stay as long as I can. The Drakari people will want to know about this. They will send advisors. You will not be alone in this. Claire sat down next to Nathan. If it helps, I think you are already doing a good job. Look at her. She is happy and getting stronger. That is what matters, Nathan sighed. He had gone to work that morning expecting a normal day. Now he had somehow become a father to a dragon. His life had just become very complicated. But when he looked at Ember, at her bright eyes and the way she trusted him completely, he knew he could not regret it. Okay, he said finally. I guess I am a dragon parent now. How hard can it be? Lisa and Claire looked at each other. They both tried not to laugh. Over the next week, Nathan learned exactly how hard it could be. Ember was gaining strength rapidly. With strength came curiosity and energy. She wanted to explore everything. She tried to eat his medical equipment. She climbed on the furniture and fell off, needing to be caught. She learned to make fire sounds, little puffs of smoke and small flames that nearly set his reports on fire. She also refused to sleep unless she was touching Nathan. The first night he tried to put her in a small bed next to his own. She cried so loudly that people 3 floors away complained. He ended up with a small dragon sleeping on his chest, her tail wrapped around his arm. But despite the challenges, Ember thrived. Her scales grew shiny and bright copper-colored. Her wings got stronger. She learned to glide short distances, usually by jumping off Nathan's desk and crash-landing on the floor. She ate well and grew fast. News of what Nathan had done spread through the space station. People came to see the human doctor who had saved a dragon baby and somehow become its parent. Some were curious. Some were skeptical. Some thought he was crazy. But the biggest reaction came from the dragon people themselves. 1 week after the rekindling, a message arrived at the station. A ship carrying dragon elders was coming. They wanted to see Ember and speak with Nathan. The message was polite but firm. The elders were not asking permission. They were coming, and they expected answers. The dragon ship arrived 3 days later. It was massive, 10 times bigger than any ship Nathan had ever seen dock at the station. Through the windows of his medical center, he could see it floating in space like a metal mountain. The hull was decorated with beautiful carvings that looked like scales and flames. Nathan felt nervous. He had never met a dragon elder before. He had read that they were ancient, wise, and very serious about their traditions. He had performed the rekindling, a sacred ritual that was supposed to be secret knowledge. He had created a bond with a dragon baby using methods that should not have worked. The elders might be angry. They might try to take Ember away. Ember seemed to sense his worry. She sat on his shoulder, her favorite spot now that she was bigger. Her tail curled around his neck like a scarf. She chirped softly in his ear, a sound she made when she was trying to comfort him. It will be okay, Claire said, though she looked nervous too. She straightened Nathan's coat and brushed some scales off his shoulder. Ember shed scales sometimes as she grew. You saved her life. They have to understand that. Lisa stood nearby, looking formal in special robes she had brought from her ship. The elders can be stern, she admitted. But they are also fair. Tell them the truth about everything. Do not try to hide anything. The medical center doors opened. 3 dragons entered, and Nathan's breath caught. They were huge, at least 8 feet tall, with wings that folded against their backs. Their scales were different colors. The one in front had deep red scales that looked like polished rubies. The one on the left had blue scales like sapphires. The one on the right had green scales like emeralds. The red dragon stepped forward. Her eyes were ancient, holding centuries of wisdom. I am Keeper Sarath, she said in perfect English. Her voice was deep and powerful. These are Keeper Torin and Keeper Mira. We have come to see the human who performed the rekindling. Nathan stood up straight, trying not to show fear. Ember chirped loudly and climbed further up on his head, tangling in his hair. I am Dr. Nathan Price, this is Ember. And before you say anything, I want you to know that I did what I had to do to save her life. I do not regret it. Sarath's eyes focused on Ember. The baby dragon hid her face in Nathan's hair, suddenly shy. Come here, little one, Sarath said, her voice gentle now. Let me see you. Ember chirped nervously but slowly climbed down from Nathan's head. She sat on his shoulder, looking at the huge dragon with wide eyes. Sarath reached out one massive clawed hand. Nathan forced himself not to step back. The elder could crush Ember with that hand if she wanted, but Sarath's touch was gentle. She ran one claw very carefully along Ember's back, examining her wings, her scales, her size. She is healthy, Sarath said, sounding surprised. More than healthy. She is thriving. Her scales are bright. Her wings are strong. She has grown much in just 2 weeks. Nathan takes very good care of her, Claire said proudly. Sarath looked at Nathan with those ancient eyes. You performed the rekindling. This is sacred knowledge known only to dragon mothers. How did you learn of it? Nathan decided to be completely honest. I found it in an old research paper, written by a human scientist 30 years ago. He had been given permission to study dragon families. The paper described the falling dark and the rekindling. It said the rekindling might work with any being whose bioelectrical field the baby could accept as parental. So I tried it, and it worked, Torin, the blue dragon, said. He sounded amazed. A human performed the rekindling successfully. This has never happened in 3,000 years of our history. Mira, the green dragon, stepped closer. The child has bonded to you. We can see it clearly. She stays close. She watches you constantly. She feels safe with you. Mira's eyes narrowed. Do you understand what this means? You are not just a doctor who saved a patient. You are her family now, in every way that matters to her. Nathan swallowed hard. Lisa explained the bond. I understand that Ember needs me, at least for now. I am prepared to care for her as long as she needs me. Even though it is inconvenient? Sarath asked. Even though it complicates your life? Even though she is not your species, not your responsibility? She is my responsibility because I chose to save her, Nathan said firmly. When she was dying, I did not think about species or convenience. I thought about a baby who needed help. That has not changed. Sarath studied him for a long moment. Then she looked at the other elders. They seemed to have a silent conversation, just looking at each other. Finally, Sarath turned back to Nathan. The conclave debated for many days about this situation, she said. Some elders wanted to take Ember back to our homeworld. They said she should be raised by dragons, taught our ways properly. Other elders were angry that you learned sacred knowledge without permission. They wanted to punish you. Nathan felt his heart sink. Were they going to take Ember away? He felt her press closer against his neck as if she knew they were talking about separating them. But I spoke against both of these ideas, Sarath continued. The rekindling created a true bond. Breaking that bond would harm Ember, perhaps badly. As for punishment, you did not steal our knowledge. You found it in a legitimate research paper, and you used it to save a life, not for selfish reasons. She paused, looking at Ember with soft eyes. For 3,000 years, humans and dragons have been distant. We are allies in the Council of Species. We trade goods. We help each other in wars. But we have never truly understood each other. We keep our families private. We do not share our inner world. Torin spoke next. This child represents something new. She is dragon, but she is bonded to a human. She is a bridge between our peoples. The conclave has decided to honor the bond, Sarath said. Ember will stay with you. But you must accept a responsibility. You will learn our ways not as an outsider, but as family. We will teach you how to raise a dragon child properly, and through you we will learn to understand humans better. Nathan felt relief flood through him. You are not taking her away? No, Sarath said. She has chosen you and the rekindling has bound you. We respect that. But we will send advisors. Keeper Torin will stay at this station for the next year. He will teach you and help you. Torin bowed his head. It will be an honor. I have never worked closely with humans before. This will be a learning experience for both of us. Mira stepped forward. There is more. Word of what you did has spread beyond the dragon people. Other species have heard about the human doctor, who saved a dying baby using methods nobody thought possible. You are receiving requests for help. Requests? Nathan asked, confused. Medical cases, Mira explained. Beings with sick children that their own doctors cannot save. They are asking if you will try to help them. They believe that if you could save a dragon baby, maybe you can save their children too. Nathan looked at Claire. She smiled and shrugged. You are famous now. The doctor who does impossible things. I am just a doctor who got lucky, Nathan protested. No, Sarath said firmly. You are a doctor who cared enough to try. That is rare and precious. The Conclave has discussed this too. We want to propose something to the human government, a new medical program, combining dragon healing knowledge with human methods, working together to help species that have nowhere else to turn. You want dragons and humans to work together? In medicine? Nathan asked. Yes. For the first time in our history, we will share our healing knowledge with another species. In return, humans will teach us their methods. Together, we will create something new, something better than either species could make alone. Ember chirped loudly as if agreeing. She spread her small wings and jumped from Nathan's shoulder to Sarath's extended hand. The baby dragon looked tiny on the elder's massive palm. Sarath smiled, a surprisingly gentle expression on her fierce face. She is brave, this little one, Sarath said. Like her mother was. Kessa would be proud to see how strong her daughter has become. She placed Ember carefully back on Nathan's shoulder. You have done well, Nathan Price. You saved a life when you could have turned away. You accepted responsibility when you could have refused. You have shown us that compassion can cross any barrier between species. Nathan felt his throat get tight with emotion. I just did what any good doctor would do. Exactly, Sarath said. And that is why this will work. You see, healing is healing regardless of who needs it. That is the heart of what we want to build together. The elders prepared to leave. Torin would stay behind, but Sarath and Mira had to return to the homeworld to report to the Conclave. Before she left, Sarath placed one large hand on Nathan's shoulder. Thank you, she said quietly, for seeing Ember as a life worth saving, for refusing to give up, for showing us that our two peoples can be more than distant allies. You have given us hope for a future we never imagined. After they left, Nathan sat down heavily. Ember climbed into his lap and curled up, purring like a cat. Claire sat next to him. So, she said, your life just got even more interesting. Nathan laughed, tired but happy. I guess I am not just a dragon parent anymore. I am apparently starting a medical revolution. Are you okay with that? Nathan looked at Ember, sleeping peacefully in his lap. He thought about all the other beings out there who might need help, whose lives might be saved by this new cooperation between species. He smiled. Yeah, he said. I think I am okay with that. 6 months passed like a strange dream. Nathan's life changed in ways he never could have imagined when he first saw Lissa walk through his medical center doors carrying a dying baby. Ember was no longer tiny. She had grown to the size of a large dog. Her wingspan was nearly 2 meters when she spread her wings fully. Her copper scales shined bright and beautiful. She had learned to fly properly, though she still sometimes misjudged distances and crashed into furniture. She had also learned to breathe fire, small flames that she used mostly to light candles or occasionally to express frustration when Nathan told her no. She still slept in Nathan's quarters, curled up at the foot of his bed. She still followed him everywhere in the medical center, but she was more independent now. She played with other beings on the station. She was learning to speak, managing simple words in both English and the dragon language. She was growing up. The medical center had grown too. The space station had given Nathan a bigger facility, 3 times the size of his old one. He needed the space. After word spread about Ember, requests for help came from everywhere. Beings from species Nathan had never heard of came to the station, desperate for help their own doctors could not provide. Keeper Torin had stayed true to his word. The blue dragon had become Nathan's partner and friend. Torin taught Nathan about dragon healing methods, some of which were thousands of years old. In return, Nathan taught Torin about human medicine, about technology and techniques that dragons had never used before. Together, they saved lives that would have been lost. A sick child from the Velcran species suffering from a disease that had no cure. A young being from the Zethir people, injured in an accident that should have been fatal. A baby from the Norland species born too early and too small. One by one, they found ways to help when others had given up. Claire was now Nathan's official second in command. She managed the growing staff, coordinated with different species, and kept everything running smoothly. Lissa had stayed for 3 months before returning to her ship, but she visited often, bringing gifts for Ember and stories from her travels. Today was special, though. Today, representatives from the Earth Alliance Medical Corps were visiting. They wanted to talk about expanding what Nathan and Torin had started. Making it official, making it bigger. Captain Lisa Grant arrived in the afternoon. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She toured the medical facility, watching as Nathan and Torin worked together to treat a patient. She observed Ember, who was helping Claire organize medical supplies by using her small flames to sterilize instruments. After the tour, they met in Nathan's office. Ember sat on her special perch by the window. Torin stood by the wall, his large frame making the office feel small. Claire took notes on her datapad. Dr. Price, Captain Grant began. Your work here has attracted attention at the highest levels of the Alliance government. What you have accomplished in 6 months is remarkable. You have created the first truly integrated multi-species medical facility in known space. Nathan shifted in his chair. We have just been doing our best to help whoever comes through the door. That is exactly why we are here, Grant said. The Alliance wants to expand this model. We want to create a new division dedicated to emergency xenobiology medicine, cases that cannot be solved by traditional methods. Problems that require creative thinking and cross-species cooperation. We want you to lead it. Nathan felt his heart beat faster. Lead it? What would that involve? Grant pulled out a data pad and showed him plans. A massive medical facility that would orbit Earth. State-of-the-art equipment. Space for hundreds of staff members. Research laboratories. Training centers where doctors from all species could learn to work together. Resources that Nathan could only dream about now. You would have the backing to handle any case no matter how difficult, Grant explained. You would have specialists from every species working with you. You would set the standards for this new field of medicine. And Ember? Nathan asked. The baby dragon's ears perked up at hearing her name. Grant smiled. Your dragon comes with you, obviously. She is part of why this works. She is living proof that different species can bond, can trust each other, can be family. We would not separate you. Torin spoke from his position by the wall. The Dragon Conclave has also made a decision. They want to send 10 of our best healers to work at this new facility. They will teach and learn alongside humans. This is unprecedented in our history. 10 dragons? Nathan asked, surprised. The Conclave believes in what you have started, Torin said. They believe it is time for our people to stop being so isolated. Ember's survival and growth has shown us that working with other species makes us stronger, not weaker. Captain Grant leaned forward. This is bigger than just medicine, Nathan. What you did when you saved Ember, what you have built here over these months, it is changing how species relate to each other. The dragon people have been distant from everyone for thousands of years. Now they are opening up because of you. I just saved one baby, Nathan protested. I did not plan any of this. The best changes often start with simple acts of kindness, Grant said. You saw a dying child and refused to give up. That simple choice rippled outward. Now we have dragons and humans working together for the first time. We have medical advances that neither species could have achieved alone. We have proof that cooperation works better than isolation. Claire looked up from her notes. What about the people here? Our staff? The patients who depend on us? The station will keep its medical center, Grant assured her. In fact, we want to upgrade it. This location will become a training site, and we want you to come to the new facility too, Miss Morgan, as part of the leadership team. Nathan looked around his office. He thought about the past 6 months. The challenges, the victories, the lives saved. He looked at Ember, who was watching him with intelligent eyes. She had grown so much. She was not the dying baby he had first held anymore. She was strong and healthy and happy. I have one condition, Nathan said finally. Lisa should be part of the team too. She understood what Ember needed before I did. She has been helping us all along. She deserves to be part of this. Grant nodded. Agreed. Anyone else? The staff who have been working here, Nathan said. They believed in this idea when it was just a crazy experiment. They deserve to be part of the future. Done, Grant said, standing up and extending her hand. Welcome to the frontier of medicine, Dr. Price. Nathan shook her hand, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. But also feeling excitement. This was a chance to help even more beings, to push the boundaries of what was possible. 3 weeks later, Nathan stood in the observation deck of the new medical facility orbiting Earth. The place was huge, beautiful, and filled with the most advanced equipment from a dozen different species. Dragon healers worked side by side with human doctors. Velcran nurses assisted Norland technicians. Species that had barely spoken to each other before were now saving lives together. Ember sat beside him on the railing. She was careful not to fall. She had learned to be more cautious after several incidents of falling from high places. She wore a small vest now, with an identification badge that marked her as an official member of the medical staff. Junior member, but still official. You know, Nathan said to her. 6 months ago, I thought I had my life figured out. Simple station doctor. Treat injuries. Prescribe medicine. Go home. Nothing too complicated, Ember chirped and rubbed her head against his arm affectionately. She understood more English now. She knew he was talking about how things used to be. But I guess life had other plans, Nathan continued. And honestly, I would not change anything. Not the sleepless nights. Not the fear when I thought we might lose you. Not the chaos of raising a dragon baby while learning a new field of medicine. None of it. Behind them, the medical facility hummed with activity. In the emergency ward, a team was treating a Zephyr child who had been brought in critical condition. Nathan recognized the symptoms. He and Torin had seen them before. They knew what to do. The child would survive. In the research laboratories, dragon healers were teaching human scientists about bioelectrical fields and empathic healing. Human doctors were showing dragons how to use advanced scanning technology. Knowledge was flowing both ways, creating something new and powerful. In the training center, the next generation of doctors was learning to think beyond species barriers, to see every life as worth saving, to believe that different peoples working together could achieve more than anyone working alone. Nathan's communicator beeped. Another emergency case had just arrived. A species he had never treated before, presenting symptoms he had never seen. It would require research, creativity, and teamwork to solve. He looked at Ember, who spread her wings eagerly. She loved going to work with him. She still helped in small ways, using her flames to sterilize equipment, using her empathic sense to comfort scared patients, using her presence to remind everyone that impossible things could become real. Ready to go save some lives? Nathan asked her. Ember chirped loudly and launched herself into the air. She glided down the corridor toward the emergency ward, looking back to make sure Nathan was following. He smiled and jogged after her.